It's finally here. Mazda's second upscale large platform SUV is hitting the market. This is the new CX-70, and I'm going to explain today how it differs from the already existing three-row crossover in the lineup, the Mazda CX-90. Let's get into it. Before we get into the press release and the images, we're going to take a step back. This was over 9 months ago, but these rumors have been swirling probably for over a year that the CX-90 could be the same length, the same dimensions, the same shell as the CX-90, except the CX-70 would be a two-row model with the same body. Dealers have been telling potential customers that for a long time now. I couldn't believe it, but now the proof is in the pudding. It's here, and we're going to compare the Mazda CX-70, which we'll put on top here, to the CX-90, which we'll put on the bottom. And those rumors that were swirling were 100% correct. The Mazda CX-70 is essentially a CX-90 with the third row delete. Now, you can fold down the second row of seats in the Mazda CX-70 with a couple buttons in the back, but the towing capacity is going to be about the same, ranging from 3,500 pounds to up to 5,000 pounds. And the CX-70 is kind of removing all the glitzy and glamorous aluminum chrome trims, and it just blacks out everything instead. You still have the little Mazda decal down here like you do on the CX-90, and the wheel designs are going to be different from my understanding, but the length, the width, the interior dimensions are identical. The technology is going to be identical. There are going to be differences with exterior design just a little bit. Well, those people just vanished. I don't know if you saw that. It's a nice Photoshop skill. So I want to compare the front of the CX-70 to the front of the CX-90 because there are some slight styling differences here. If we look at the grille, we have a dark chrome grille on the CX-70, and in the press release, Mazda talks about how the CX-70 is sportier. Well, is it really? No, it's the exact same vehicle without a third row. So they've just taken a more sporty, more blacked out design, and it's probably more affordable for them just to do it this way as well, because it needs to be more affordable. It's decontented in some ways compared to the CX-90, right? So it's got to be a little bit more affordable, and I think the evidence is on the some of the design aspects. Now, some people might like this dark chrome bezel around the grille more than the more shiny chrome, or whatever you call it, polished aluminum. But down here at the bottom, now this is only if we're looking at the top of the grade models here. We don't have a model lineup in terms of grades ranging from, let's say, preferred to premium plus or anything like that. We don't have that like we do on the CX-90, so I can't compare spec to spec at this point. All I can do is compare design to design, because we don't have information on all the fine details like fuel economy, stuff like that. But the powertrains are the same. You still have the 3.3 inline six mild hybrid system, and then you're also going to have the 2.5 liter plug-in hybrid. So the powertrains are identical. We were expecting that. But we don't have numbers on the horsepower, for example, from Mazda at this point, but expect it to be identical to the CX-90. So I'm not going to get too much in the powertrains. Just know that they're carried over from the CX-90. All right, outside of the grille and this bottom garnish, the corner piece here does seem a little bit more premium on the Mazda CX-90, how it flows, and you have more paint on the front bumper. If you look at the CX-70 here, this definitely looks cheaper, in my opinion, with this mesh plastic piece. That's not true mesh. The exterior here allows air to flow through just like it does here on the CX-90. Now, the CX-90 also has this vertical turn indicator, I believe is what it is, or fog light sort of garnish light here. We don't have that here on the CX-70. So another way that the CX-90 stands out there. All right, I want to compare the side of the vehicle as well. The inline six badge on the top grades of the CX-90 have a highly reflective piece. The lower grades just is kind of like a blacked out like this. Now, this also has a little bit nicer inline six badging here than some of the lower CX-90s with this kind of dark chrome garnish. Look at the window surrounds. They're fully blacked out here. It looks like this is polished here. So the B pillar and C pillar are polished like they are on the CX-90. We just don't have that contrasting high reflective material here like you have on the roof rails. rails. Roof rails are also black on the CX-70. CX-90 or CX-70, I think, has different wheels. Let's see here. Yeah, these wheel designs are definitely different between the two. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some carryover, though, maybe with the lower trims. The upper trim of the CX-70 also has paint matched. So we have a glossy black wheel surround. Keep in mind the lower trim levels, just like the CX-90, will have just kind of like a matte black plastic wheel surround. It doesn't look bad in my opinion, but the paint match is definitely nicer. I mentioned the bottom portion here is shiny on the CX-90. It's black here. Let's go ahead and look at the rear to see how it changes from the CX-70 to the CX-90 if they give us images for the rear. Here we go. It looks pretty darn close. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this black image. It's hard to pick up details sometimes on black cars and with photography. Mazda also included images of the plug-in hybrid. I mean, this guy's happy. He's super happy charging his CX-70 there. But this is going to allow us to see the design. Actually, it looks pretty good here in white, and it gives us a much better idea of, you know, this front grille, this mesh pattern. It looks pretty nice on white, and I like the black grille surround here much better than I did on the fully blacked out model. I think it looks pretty good on the plug-in hybrid. Instead of inline six, it says PHEV here, or PHEV, blacked out door handles, black mirrors, black window surrounds. It's looking pretty good. Now, unlike that high-end inline six model we were just looking at with the black paint, this does not have that paint matched wheel arch or paint matched side portion here. And notice, hey, this plug-in hybrid doesn't have this garnish on the bottom and the black garnish that we saw on the upper level of the inline six. So, some people are probably fine not having this strange Mazda garnish at the bottom. But what do you guys think? Do you prefer to have it? I think it's there in some shape or form on all CX-90s, and they decontent it here a little bit for the CX-70. So let's go ahead and find the rear of the vehicle. And well, there's the interior. We'll get into interior here in a little bit because it's very, very similar. Oh, and I like this padding. Ooh, that's going to be a nice accessory from the dealer. That Mazda padding, that looks pretty luxurious, not going to lie. All right, where's the rear? Is that it? Come on. Man, I don't have a full-on image of the rear, unfortunately, so we're going to have to stitch some images together. So here's the rear of the CX-90 down below. We can see it has a much higher polished garnish here at the bottom. These pieces also come up a little bit higher seemingly on the CX-70 than they do on the CX-90. I'll see if I can find a better picture of the rear because it's in the shade there. There we go. This is pretty similar. And you can just see this has a more wide effect and this has a more vertical effect. The taillights are identical. The headlights are identical. The lift gate, the window, the rear windshield wiper are all identical, except, check this out, on the CX-70, this is blacked out here. Now, that could be just due to a trim changing, but it gives the illusion that there is a built-in spoiler, I guess. All right, let's talk about the interior compared to the CX-90. Well, that was me when I debuted. I was in Malibu to debut the interior of the CX-90 about a year ago. Yeah, it's not as nice. This interior design looks more similar to the CX-50, for example, or the CX-5. It's not on the same level with this hang stitching and like the really nice fabric materials. Now, they do have the similar seat design, maybe identical seat design, but maybe not the same quality of leather. As you guys can see, the stripe down the middle. It does look nice, but the materials aren't going to be quite as nice compared to what we see on the high end. Like this maple wood is just unbelievably luxurious. And you have it on the side doors. Now, here on the CX-90, now we're looking at a not as high equipped plug-in hybrid here. We don't have that same sort of attention to detail on this. This is like a lower content CX-90 in comparison. Now, we also have this Napa red leather. This is what we're looking at the inline six. And the inline sixes for Mazda typically have a higher trim level option that aren't available on the plug-in hybrids for some reason. At least here in North America, that's how they do it. So yeah, I don't expect this red to be available on the plug-in hybrid, but definitely wait for availability. We don't know when this vehicle is going to be available. I would say maybe fall. Mazda, I don't think, mentioned it in the press release, but we do have a panel roof here on this top content in model. We have like this aluminum pattern here, which cannot touch this beautiful maple wood here. Looking at the door, it's the exact same door finish as we saw in that plug-in hybrid variant of the CX-70, but I do like the red inserts here. And this dash cannot hold a candle. Now, it does have some nice stitching here, but it's not this insane hang stitch or drop stitch that we see on the CX-90. It does look very nice, and we're not going to get my favorite interior. Well, gosh, I really like this one, but the other really nice interior for the CX-90 is kind of like that really high-end caramel suede, which is just delicious. We're not going to get that here on the CX-70 either, but the technology is identical. You have 360 camera, you have this large 12-inch screen here, fully digital screen on the back. You'll have not massaging seats, but you'll have heated and ventilated seats. You can see I love all of these buttons, and really well laid out. You also have these toggle switches for climate control temperature. It's just a beautiful and functional climate control panel here from Mazda. And yeah, there's a lot of things to like about the CX-90, and that's all going to flow into the CX-70 as well. With that being said, let's go and get into the back seat. A lot of you guys are probably curious. Let's see, do I have images? Okay, so underneath the floor of the cargo area, you have additional storage, right? There are no third row seats there like the CX-90. So you have plenty of storage, kind of like what Honda likes to do with a lot of underfloor storage. You have those folding seat buttons for the second row. Let's keep moving. I mean, they wanted to make it kind of easy to put in large objects. So this is more of the utility vehicle, I guess, but you can't haul more than 5 passengers in the CX-70. You know, they really want to maximize the lifestyle aspects of this vehicle. You know, weather mats here, but I showed you that luxurious padded mat earlier on. I think it was the plug-in hybrid. Bose sound system, so you're going to have the same Bose sound systems. You have 2 USBs in the back, outboard heated seats. This is a plug-in hybrid model, remember, and you'll be able to get those, of course, on the inline-6. And there's that nice padded cargo area. Look how nice that is. I mean, these plants look, I mean, they help it make a little bit more upscale. Yeah, you can do Mazda apps, start your car. You can also connect to Amazon Alexa, which will, you know, set your temperature in the car, tell you the weather, all that fun stuff. Now, this is only available on the plug-in hybrid. This is going to be your 1500 watt power adapter. Interesting, it's not on. Maybe the car's not on. But this is looks like it's on a cooler or refrigerator of some sort. So they're definitely advertising this more for the adventure crowd. There's also lots of B-roll of them towing a Cosmo around. So there's, I mean, you have that going on here, which, you know, maybe you guys want to tow with your CX-70, but, you know, they're advertising the versatility here with the CX-70 because you should have a little bit more cargo room compared to the CX-90 since there is no third row. So, yeah, I mean, they're advertising this maybe for empty nesters sort of customers, where the CX-90 is maybe for the families or the grandparents who want to have a nice 3-row luxury like vehicle. So lots of other B-roll that they have for the CX-70 if you guys want to see it in motion as well. What are my thoughts? So here are my thoughts. Am I disappointed that it's a cut and paste or copy and paste of the CX-90? A little bit, but the CX-90 is fantastic. I love that vehicle. And you can say what you want with, you know, it's had 3 recalls already, but it's a first-year vehicle. Everything on the CX-90, on the new platform, and the CX-60, everything is brand new. So there's going to be like this teething process for Mazda to work out these issues that they have. And I never recommend really buying a first-year vehicle. But if you're leasing it, who cares, right? But even then, if it's a recall and you're leasing it, you still have to go to the dealer, and it takes time away from your life. So that's something to consider. But long term, I would not be worried about the reliability of the CX-70 or the CX-90. I'm really excited to see the CX-70 also on the road. It's essentially a blacked out CX-90 with 2 rows instead of 3 rows. Now, could they have named it something different? Should they have named it something different? Would it be more confusing to have a CX-90 with 3-row options and 2-row options? Maybe, right? So I understand why they did it. but it is definitely a cost-cutting measure because a lot of us were expecting, hey, maybe we'll get something like how Honda has the Passport and the Pilot. The Passport is a two-row platform sharing model with the Pilot, or it used to be until we get the new Passport, and then it'll be on the same platform as the Pilot. But yeah, it's the Passport with a two-row, it's way shorter of a vehicle compared to the Pilot. The CX-70 doesn't change its dimensions whatsoever. It's a copy and paste, just taking out the third row. And that, comes with its pros and cons. Some people, if they want a smaller two-row vehicle, they're going to have it in the Mazda lineup because you have a gajillion crossovers at this point. At least in America, you have the CX-30, the subcompact. You have the CX-5 and the CX-50, which are in the same segment, just different stylings. Those are going to be your mid-size or compact, however you want to look at it, two-row crossovers. Then you're going to have a large two-row crossover in the CX-70, and then you have a large-ish three-row crossover with the CX-90. So Mazda's covering all the bases. They know crossovers is the name of the game in America. I know most of you would probably... I don't know. A lot of you would rather have a new Mazda 6 instead of a two-row CX-90. That's okay too. So hopefully Mazda delivers on a Mazda 6 sedan or 6, whatever they want to call it. 626, I think, is what the old one was called. I saw a Protege wagon on the road not that long ago, which I thought was delicious. But anyways, I'm excited for the Mazda CX-70 as much as I can be. It is going to be successful for them, I think. And if people want to see something as big as a CX-90, but they're not going to use that third row, they can save a little bit of money and get a CX-70. What do you guys think? Are you disappointed? Are you excited? Is it everything you wanted it to be? Did you want it to be smaller? Are you happy about the powertrains? I didn't really talk about them, but you'll have 340 horsepower inline six, mild hybrid, or the plug-in hybrid, which is 369 pound-feet of torque, the same as the inline six, but it will have around the same horsepower. I want to say it's like 320 some horsepower, but you'll have over 30 miles of electric range on it. And I hear it's smoother. I'm getting the CX-90 plug-in hybrid today to review, and that will be a great glimpse into how good or not good it will be in the CX-70 because it's essentially the same vehicle. So, here's the press release. I didn't really read into it for you guys. I've pretty much communicated everything in here. I guess the wheels are 21-inch wheels. That shouldn't be a surprise on some of the higher trim levels. We don't have official cargo area size, but look at the CX-90 with the third row fold down, and then maybe add a couple more cubic feet on top of that, right? Because of the underfloor storage here. So yeah, I mean, it has the same safety technology as the CX-90 as well. So yeah. Anyways, I got to shut it down. If you are still here in the video, I would appreciate a smashing of that like button. Make sure you subscribe because more than likely I will be driving the CX-70 when media is allowed to drive it. So I'll give you guys my hands-on driving impressions of the CX-70. It's going to be great because the CX-90 handles like a really big Miata, which is just smile-inducing for such a big vehicle. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one and have a great day. Peace.